Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Ask Sibs. I've got a kind of keynote conference talk kind of day in the sense I've got two. Obviously, the new world we're in, it hasn't involved getting up at the crack of dawn, going to another town or city, and having the sort of physical exertion that sometimes creates. Although I have to say, on the other hand, that it's something I do miss on occasions where it is lovely to go to another town or city and actually meet people in person and do a talk from a stage. It's quite a kick and an adrenaline rush, but certainly two in a day for separate conferences wouldn't have been possible, whereas with our virtual world we're in at the moment, they are possible. Also got a few other meetings as well around it, so it's not only keynote conference talks, but it certainly is a couple all in one day. And then, yeah, one of them that I did, well, I've got one later and I've done one already. I'm in between the two conferences. The one I did this morning was to disabled children in developing countries. Really cool conference, been run by someone called Palmy, who I think it's called Include Me Too, was the name of the charity. And the conference is all around sharing ideas and looking at employment opportunities for disabled people. So yeah, most of all, just a big shout out to the work that they're doing, and a big thanks for having me along as one of the speakers today. And then, yeah, one of the, amongst all the things I was sharing, one of the topics or one of the questions I was asked was, what are the sort of skills that disabled people should be looking to acquire? And they're almost as a consequence, what are the job opportunities that are out there, sort of cause and effect. That if you're looking for employment, you look for the trends in the economy, and even particularly within the disability community, what are the kind of jobs that disabled people are getting. I guess that's a good point to make the sentiment that, as we've said a few times, but disabled people, we're not a homogenous group of people. So if you're looking at access needs as a perspective of a job, someone that's from the visually impaired community or the hearing impaired community, different from the mobility and the neurodiverse community. So the access needs are going to vary within those sub-segments. So that's one point to consider if you're watching this from a business or as a disabled person. You can sort of layer down what the kind of barriers or the access needs might be specific to a person's health condition, if you like. But I think also we can just look at the general trend of the world economy, and particularly with the pandemic, the digital world is growing. It's bigger than ever. I think it was already, we're already heading to a lot of jobs and opportunities being online. I think the pandemic sped that up, and so I think there's definitely the sort of skills around coding, design, copywriting. Obviously, writing is something that wouldn't necessarily matter whether it was online or offline, but we're seeing a lot of needs for copywriting into the digital senses or remote senses. And there's so many other types of skills and types of jobs amongst the economy. But I think definitely if we look at the digital trend and the online trend, it just does present everyone, disabled or not disabled, a lot of newer opportunities. And I guess, for some people where, as we were talking about yesterday, I think it was about the sort of way we are post-COVID, we want the transport and the buildings and the physical environment to still be fully inclusive and fully accessible. But where some people individually find that difficult for whatever reason, I think that's another reason to maybe double down if remote study, remote work, remote entertainment, as we said yesterday, it is beneficial or preferential. Again, that's a massive positive around being online. I'm coming to Marnie's comment now. I think being disabled means you naturally develop skills that employers look for just through challenges you face in everyday life: creativity, resilience, timekeeping, organization. That's such a good point there, Marnie, because I was talking kind of specifics to like the digital jobs and the digital skills, which I think are very valid. But actually, absolutely, as you're saying, even if you're looking for a job not in those areas, but it could be project management, it could be consultancy, all like different kind of areas. Those things that Marnie's mentioned, I'll bring them back up again, they are very often seen more so in a lot of disabled people, because we have to learn those things just by managing a care team, or how to get the funding and purchasing of a new wheelchair. There's almost like running this mini enterprise just to live independently is quite something that we see quite a lot. Marnie's saying COVID has demonstrated that so many jobs can be done from home if commuting is an issue, as I was saying before as well. Definitely agree with that, Marnie. But people should never be forced to work from home because of lack of access. Absolutely, yeah. And Gavin saying, where is the best place to find highly skilled folk? It's always hard to let people know you want them to apply for the job you have available. Yeah, and so I was going to say, actually, so I did the keynote talk this morning, which got me contemplating about, we want disabled people to feel access to education, to feel more empowered, to feel confident, to feel everything is possible. I think there's a lot around that, nurturing and supporting the next generation of disabled people to feel that they're very much valuable and capable. So there's a lot around how we do that in different ways. There's the specific skills Marnie talked about and the specific skills I was talking about. Coming to your point here, Gavin, this is sort of a separate inspiration for today's post, actually, is that Purple Goat, we're hiring again. And we're not like saying, oh, we're only going to hire disabled people. We want the best people for the job at hand. But obviously, there are business benefits to having disabled people because we're a specialist disability marketing agency. But, also on the social level, like I as a co-founder with a disability, want to get more opportunities. And what you said there, Gavin, is a really good question. I know Even Break, the jobs board, can, put out the fact that there are jobs available for disabled people to apply for that are coming from a place of wanting to be diverse and include disabled people. So a very one sort of punchy specific example to your question there, Gavin, is Even Break. But I think it is a challenge, and we're putting the word out, and then not that many disabled people are applying for the job. And then there are people applying, but they've not got the right, range of skills that we're looking for to be able not just to do the job, but, to show the ability to upskill and all those sorts of things. And so as an employer, those things matter as much as we're all very socially minded and want to make a difference to the world. At the same time, you need the right people for the right job, which no one would ever disagree with. So, yeah, I think also, Gavin, maybe you've got some experiences you could share, and anyone watching, if you've got other thoughts on, where is it that this highly skilled disabled people are, or kind of maybe where they are, but how to encourage them to apply for the jobs that are out there. Because I do sometimes get disabled people complaining about a lack of jobs and a lack of opportunity. And then I know that Neatbox and Gavin are always on the lookout. We are at Purple Goat, and yet we're just not seeing that level of application and candidates. So yeah, it'd be interesting one to explore that a little bit more. Gavin saying to Marnie, sadly, we no longer have offices, so all of our team now work from home. Doesn't mean we can't get together for social events. Yeah, but obviously right now we're talking about the pandemic is virtual, and I think there are going to be a lot of businesses, again, like Neatbox and like us at Purple Goat, like we're quite spread out. So I don't know that we're going to have one office that we go to 5 days a week ever. But we are talking about meeting up somewhere like Stratford-upon-Avon because it's quite central to where our team are based. And yeah, having those get-togethers and those socials is definitely going to be really, really vital. And of course, having team camaraderie online, not just work, but we try and make sure in our team meetings that there's a bit of banter, bit of a water cooler moment and all that sort of stuff. Marnie saying, generally feel like everything we have to manage, care teams, funding, adaptations, etc., can almost sometimes be a job in itself and often has to take priority when something goes wrong. So yeah, I've obviously mentioned a couple of times Marnie's got the same disability as me, spinal muscular atrophy, and yeah, 100% agree with that. As always, different experiences, different disabilities might be more so, might be less so, but I think Marnie and my experience is really, really similar. That it is like I've had to learn, recruitment, retention, fundraising, HR, all this kind of stuff just from the care team perspective and living independently and having wheelchairs and equipment at home. So yeah, 100% agree with that. Adding to my previous comment, and we have the skill to do all that at the same time as a full-time as job or studying. Yeah, I totally agree. And Zach saying, I think for many it is scary taking that leap into employment. Yeah, I mean, and I guess maybe that comes back to my earlier point about nurturing disabled people to feel confident, but then maybe it's a societal barrier. I know there's a lot of people at Disability Horizons that have volunteered that there's this sort of midpoint. So you can earn a little bit, and then if you earn a bit more, you then are in sort of danger of losing the benefits. But then if it's freelance work, you can't risk losing the benefits because what if next month you've not got the work? So there's so much in this space that, we all need that safety net of if we're not earning enough that we're going to be okay, whether that's because of health reasons or just general unemployment as things go on in the economy. But I think we definitely have to look at how people are encouraged to, as you say, Zach, to take that leap forward, really, and know that, yeah, they're going to be supported as a disabled person and all the access needs and all the other sort of different variables and scenarios and stories that I can't even begin to advocate on behalf of everybody. But yeah, I definitely think you're right there, Zach. There's something very strong there. Gavin, people are not back all the time, which means that they don't apply for mainstream job applications. And I do have to keep coming back to, like, yes, we are looking at disability. There are different, difficulties with education, employment. There are more barriers. That's all 100% true. But then the balance is that there are non-disabled people that have to apply for 100 jobs before they get a job. And so I guess we have to instill that never give up tenacity in disabled people as well, which is a skill that is very important. I applied for lots of jobs before I got my job at Scope when I came out of university. As an entrepreneur, I get knockbacked literally all day, every day, right? When I'm doing business development and trying to win new work and new clients, there's more no's than there are yeses. But I think maybe that even comes back to self-esteem and self-awareness. So there's so many things that we touch on actually today just by looking at employment. And there's a role for charities, there's a role for parents, there's a role for schools, but there's also a role for every individual as a responsibility to ourselves for personal development. I talked on Monday about personal development as well. So it all overlaps, it all interconnects, and it's a thoroughly interesting puzzle that we're all involved in. Very challenging, but very interesting, the opportunities to make the world better around disability. And as we know, it's not just benefiting disabled people, it benefits businesses and society to have inclusion. Damien said, I really like what you're saying, Martin, and definitely need to organise a virtual coffee. Always up for a virtual coffee. So do reach out, Damien, and let me know when suits you. Marnie, oh yeah, if everyone is working from home, that's absolutely fine. I meant disabled people shouldn't be forced to work from home whilst others are in the office because of lack of access to the building. But yes, meeting up socially is so important, as there is a social aspect of working in office that people could miss out on. Obviously, Marnie's sort of responding to Gavin's comment. I think there's two very distinct points there that, if there's an office, it should be accessible and open to everybody. And if it's not, then that's wrong. And also to build on the social side, like I can remember being at the office and included in the workplace, but the social events that happened weren't always accessible. So the Christmas party would end up not being wheelchair accessible, as an example. So I think whether it's social, whether it's work, whether it's education, it's that there's reasonable adjustments for those that need them, but there's also having that inclusion to everybody as well. And Marnie saying, also have to remember right now, due to COVID, that there are so many people out of work, so jobs will be getting so many more applications than they normally would. So there will be not backs, but just have to keep going. Yeah, and I'll put a call out. Like I say, we are hiring at Purple Goat. So if anyone with a disability that, is hungry, ambitious, got the right skills around sort of digital, kind of Microsoft Office and Excel type skills, kind of software office skills, native to social media, obviously we're a social media influencer agency, like please send me a CV, because there are a lot of jobs going, but I think, as Monty said, there is a tough kind of marketplace for job seekers, but yeah, we're not seeing disabled applicants coming in. So big shout out, if you know anyone, if you are disabled, please send me your CV, because I'd love to have a chat and see where you're at with your career. Zach, the work would need the ability to drop out for a couple of days when we do have a flare up. So obviously, Zach, you're talking about fluctuating conditions and employment, and what happens if you just can't do the job at hand for a day or two. You don't want to end up getting fired and all this sort of stuff. So that's a very specific case study, very valid and very important to be addressed. But yeah, how do workplaces cover that? And I thought for larger businesses, there should be ways. I remember on the Daily Sib last summer, I interviewed, or trying to get out, his name was Tiago, and it was a social enterprise digital marketing agency. And they actually had all the tasks that needed doing. And then different people could almost kind of clock in and clock off and do the task when they're able to. So if anyone was off, it still meant the work got done, the clients were happy, but it allowed for that kind of flexibility with people's conditions. It says it makes us unreliable at times. And I think unreliable is quite an emotive word, but I know what you mean, Zach. Like, I would say you're very, very reliable, but obviously, yeah, you're not able to turn up and do the job at hand. So it's semantics, and I know exactly what you mean. And as I say, I think large multinationals should have the policies and procedures and the flexibility to get the benefit of the talent of someone like yourself, Zach, but also not let down the business as usual stuff as well. So yeah, really interesting topic as always. I'm going to wrap. We've done 17 minutes today, but really great engagement and lots of interesting thoughts and opinions and perspectives, which is what we like. Who knows what will be on tomorrow's? I tend to just come up with a topic that I'm inspired by on any given day. But yeah, you can be sure it will be entertaining and interesting and valuable. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.